Alright, today's video I'm going to go over nutrients, how to pH it up or down, and how to test the TDS, the parts per million. I'll go over everything. There's lots of nutrients you can use. By far, the easiest is going to be your AeroGarden nutrients. You know, instead of those little bottles, you can buy a big bottle of it on Amazon. You don't have to do any of the pH testing. You just add your nutrients. You'll check the TDS, that'll tell you the strength, and adjust the strength according to what you're growing. You know, I'm going to go over the TDS. I'll explain that more, but the AeroGarden is the easiest. I'm using Fox Farm. The reason I'm using it is because I can just go down to my hardware store and pick it up. Another good brand would be General Hydroponics. They have a Maxi series, and instead of 3, they're only going to have 2. It'll be Maxi Grow and Maxi Bloom. I'll have to double check, but I know there's only 2 on the Maxi series. And it comes in a powder. Now, because it comes in a powder instead of a liquid, it's a lot cheaper than Fox Farm. Once I'm done with my Fox Farm, you know what? I'm probably going to order the Maxi series off of Amazon, just because it's just cost effective. Now, no matter if you're using Fox Farm, Maxi, AeroGarden, you have to use CalMag. CalMag is calcium and magnesium. There's lots of different brands. You don't have to use this brand, but you have to use it with every feeding. Calcium and magnesium deficiency, the curling of the leaves, the yellowing on the veins, I mean, it's the most common deficiency. So make sure you have your CalMag. So I'll have a feeding schedule. I'll post that so you can look at it, but that's just for Fox Farm. And it uses milliliters. And of course the schedule is for teaspoons and tablespoons, but it's easy to convert 5 milliliters for 1 teaspoon or 15 milliliters for a tablespoon. Now, when it calls for, let's say, 5 milliliters per gallon, I'm mixing 5 gallons. So that's going to be 25 milliliters. That's going to be a little much, I think. So I'm going to start with adding 20 milliliters. I go a little bit under the recommended because I don't want to do so much nutrients to where you burn your plants. You can get nutrient burn to where you're doing too much nutrients. So I always go a little bit under the recommended dosage. All right. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to suck up what do I need out of each one. I'll show it to you in here. And then I'll add it to the water. So I'll be right back once I get it all set up. Alright, so I just got, it was 25 milliliters, 25 milliliters. I got about 50 milliliters out of here, and then 20 millimeters of CalMag. It's all in here. Add it into my That's it. Put the lid on it, and you're going to want to shake it up. I only got one hand, but what you're going to want to do, you want to shake it up real good, and then you're going to want to have a cup. This cup is basically going to be your nutrient cup, because you're going to want to take some of the solution and pour it into the cup, so now we can start testing that solution. We're going to start testing the pH. I'll post a chart in the pH. The pH is very important. If it's too low or too high, the nutrients aren't going to be able to absorb. All the nutrients get absorbed right in this certain pH range. So I like to go between 6 and 6.5 pH. I'll post a diagram of the pH so you can see the different nutrients on where they're absorbed, and some of them are absorbed down in this range on the low range, some are in the higher range, some are in the middle. But if you look at all the nutrients together, right in the middle where they meet, it's right about 6.4. You know, so you want to get as close as you can to that. And then also we're going to test the TDS. That's the parts per million. I'll put another chart in the description. And the TDS is going to test the strength of your nutrients. So if you're growing lettuce, you're going to want like low 600. Not very strong nutrients. So like the nutrients I'm using right now, it'd probably be a third. Now if you're growing like peppers, tomatoes, everything I'm growing, it's going to be a lot stronger. You're going to want 1,500, 2,000 parts per million, even up to 3,000 parts per million. You know, I'll list the chart on what the proper parts per million for each plant is. So let me go ahead. I'm going to dump some of this in a cup so we can start testing it, and I'll be right back. All right, so my TDS. This is the first thing you want to do. Just test the strength. Now, usually these nutrients, they're going to be a little bit on the weak side, and I always have to increase them. So let me test it. Turn it on. 6. Yeah, see, I'm low. I'm at 650. So before I even mess with the pH, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to double up my nutrients. I'm going to go ahead, mix up another thing, squirt it in there. I won't do any more CalMag because I've already done enough CalMag. I've already followed the directions on that. But the TDS, the strength is just too low because I'm in the flowering stages for my tomatoes, peppers. So I want to get at least a 1,200, 1,500, maybe even up to 2,000. So let me go ahead. I'm going to add a little bit more of my nutrients. Come back and we'll redo the TDS and we'll see how we're looking. All right. So I've doubled up on all these right here. We'll take a new TDS reading. Make sure you take this cup of nutrients you had, dump it back in there, and get your new nutrients. Otherwise, you're testing the same thing over. Now, I'm at 1,400, 1,400. That's good. I'll be happy with 1,400. You know, I can go a little higher, and that just shows me, I mean, I literally could have tripled up the nutrients and done 3 times the amount. And that's only because I'm doing peppers, tomatoes. I'm in the flowering stage, and it wants a little more nutrients. If I was doing lettuce, the first bottle I would have had at 600 would have been perfect. And that's another reason to make sure if you have one system, grow what is compatible. You know, your peppers, your tomatoes, they'll go good together. All your lettuces, those go good together. Your herbs, they go good together. You know, that's why I have 3 different systems so I can grow a little bit of everything. All right, so now we've mixed our nutrients. We've done our TDS, checked our parts per million, so we know the strength is good. Now we want to check the pH. Now, I got a pH meter. Tell you the truth, I hate my pH meter. You always got to do a solution to calibrate it and make sure it's working just right and accurate. You don't have to do that with the TDS. These things just work. The pH meter is a lot more sensitive. So I like the old school way. Basically what I want to do, we want to fill this up halfway. So I'm just going to put some in there, dump it out. There we go. See? That's about half full. Now, it'll come with a pH indicator. You add 3 to 5 drops. I had 4 drops of this in there. and then you hold it up and you look at the color. So we're looking for a color of right there, the green or the yellow to the brownish, right in there. We're looking for that color right there. So let's go ahead and add a couple drops. Let me see if I can get down low so we can see it. One, two, three. That's it. Put the lid on it, shake it up, and now we're going to compare it to right here, the color. It's a little bit on the low side. It's a little bit on the 5. So we're going to want to use the pH up. And we're just going to add the pH up to this right here. If we need to lower it, we add the pH down. This stuff right here is very, very, very concentrated. It just takes a couple drops. Let me see, where's my thingy at? You use a little pipette, go in there, and I'm talking 2 drops. Retest it. And if it's not right, add another drop or 2. You don't squeeze it in there. I mean, it's literally drop, drop. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this back in there. I'm going to go ahead and add 2-3 drops of my pH up. And I'll come back and we can test it again and see what it looks like when we test it again. Okay, I'm back. I added 3 drops of my pH up, shook it up really good, got some new stuff, tilt it right till the bubble goes right there. That's about halfway. We'll do this all over again. Let's add 3 drops. Let's see if I can get down low so you guys can see it. 1, 2, 3. Put the lid on. Shake it up. Still on the orange side. And that's the thing that sucks about nutrients. I got to do it again. So I'm going to put this back in there. I'm going to add another 3 to 5 drops, my pH up, and I'm going to test it again. So I'll be right back. Until we get it to 6.4, it's constantly testing and adjusting it. All right. I already added 3 drops. 3 drops tested. It did a little bit. I went ahead and added a good 6-7 drops. Now I'm going to test it again. There's half. Now we're going to add the pH indicator. Get down there. 1, 2, 3. Man, it didn't go up much. It went up a little bit. It's starting to get a little more yellow. Well, means I got to do it again. Add some more pH up. Yeah, this is the fun part with nutrients. All right, I just added some more pH up. I mean, honestly, this is the one thing I hate about nutrients. You know, maybe because I check the pH. I want everything perfect and good. But the pH is a grower's nightmare. So let's test this again. Cross my fingers. And know what's worse? when you get frustrated and you add too much pH and then it's too high, and then you got to start going the pH down. Oh my God. You can have bad days doing this. 1, 2, 3. It's still orange. Man. Well, it's starting to get almost a 6, I think. It's hard to tell. It is a little less orange. It actually is starting to look like I'm almost in between 6 and 6.5. Because it's not the bright green. It's not the bright orange. So I think I finally got there. It's starting to get that darker green color. So that looks like I'm about 6.4, 6.3. So it took me 3 times to get the pH right. It's not easy. But you just want to make sure your TDS is right. That'll have your nutrient solution the right strength. You want to have your pH right so that all the nutrients can absorb. And always make sure you're using your CalMag. I mean, if I can't stress that enough, the CalMag, that's the most important thing. Get your CalMag. I don't care what solution you're using for nutrients. You could be using your Fox Farm, your Maxi, your AeroGarden. Get your CalMag. So this was definitely a long video. That's just because it takes a little bit of time to mix your nutrients. I mean, it takes me a good 10 minutes to make up my nutrients. But I only got to do it every few days. But I know my plants will be happy.